Literally one right here. Unqualified by Anna Faris. I recently listened to the audiobook version of this, and it is a memoir, also kind of an autobiographical thing. And while I am familiar, of course, with Anna Faris as an actress, obviously I did see, all the Scream movies, or rather, parodies of the Scream movies. She was in Scary Movie 1, 2, 3, 4, 75. I don't know how many there are. But I never really, considered her to be serious about acting. Well, I guess I did and I didn't. Of course, what I do like about this audiobook of hers, she does kind of delve a little bit into how she got started, and the whole thing about how, I guess, for a certain period of her adult life, she actually didn't want to pursue acting. I mean, I guess you could say, she tried it for a while and then she gave up on it. And it pretty much was only after she gave up on it that's when she, I guess, reconnected with her passion for it. Of course, she grew up in some place in, I guess, some small city in Washington State. And then she eventually made her way out to LA, like a lot of aspiring actors, actresses, other creative types tend to do. But I will say, I guess, it's, for me, there's a lot of, because the title Unqualified, it's mostly, it's my understanding that she also has a podcast of the same name. And so for me, this audiobook, it seems to be, it's more like, it's like part memoir, autobiography, and also part excerpts from her podcast, because she actually does read these different emails and other messages and stuff that she's received from people who are regular listeners to her podcast. And most of it is pretty entertaining. Some of it is funny. Some of it is pretty serious. Overall, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I do like that Anna Faris, she also makes sure to mention that she doesn't consider herself to be qualified to give advice, and I mean, I guess hence the title of her book and podcast, Unqualified. But she does make sure to mention that several times. And, essentially she just mentions that she feels that she can help at least a certain amount of people, mostly women. I mean, I will say that this audiobook is targeted towards more of a female audience. And for me, I don't know, I guess I chose at random, which, because I've been wanting to start listening to a lot more audiobooks, and cause some of them are very well narrated and some of them not so much, but I guess I chose this one at random also too, because it was one of the few that wasn't already checked out at my local library. So yeah, it is geared more towards a female audience, but I do feel like men can take away a little something from it. For me, I was kind of surprised that she actually mentions, some fairly intimate details from her life, growing up, but then also too, what it was like for her the first time when she went to college, and her first real intimate experience with college guys. And I mean, I won't go into details, but I mean, it was interesting for me. I mean, because for me, it definitely got me thinking that, because I guess I had never really given it that much thought before, though I was aware of the fact that, so many different things could happen to young women and women in general. But especially, when you say, like, on a college campus and dorms and stuff like that, and there's so many different things that could go on that, the rest of the public, or even if, you could say, like, so many things go on that parents of these students aren't even aware of, the parents of these young women aren't even aware of. And unfortunately, for a lot of them, I guess, pretty much will never become aware of them unless, somebody is, I guess if somebody is brave enough to just finally come forward and say, hey, these kinds of things actually do happen on a college campus. And I don't know, I just found it interesting that Anna Faris she for the most part didn't seem afraid to just talk about the things she experienced. And I also like that she also, as far as this audiobook is concerned, pretty much seemed to be very open about, very open about her own sexuality and embracing it, and the fact that she believes every woman, but I believe this could also be applied to men as well, but that she believes every woman should be as open and honest about, their own sexuality, no matter what. And that because, by not embracing that, by not being open with it, at least on some level, then you can cause yourself more harm than good. So, which is something that I think I've always believed in as well. And I mean, that's pretty much, those are like the main parts of this audiobook that I like the most. Otherwise, there's a lot of other stuff that I wasn't really that interested in, because she goes into detail about, I guess, different relationships she had. I mean, I don't know, I guess maybe it's because, again, because it is geared towards women. So maybe it's because, most of the, like, kind of like the other aspects of this that I'm not interested in, those happen to be things that I figure a female audience would be much more open to, not just listening to, but I guess invest a certain amount of time in, what's the word? Well, just, being with, it's the kind of stuff that I figure that a female audience would appreciate a lot more, but I don't know. I mean, that's just how I feel. I'm not saying that she doesn't make some valid points, because she does. I figure, she does. Maybe there are some parts where she does seem to kind of like ramble on a little too much. But then that would often, she would go back to the point in which she would state, that she doesn't consider herself qualified to dole out any kind of professional advice, quote unquote, professional advice. And, so I guess, I definitely like that. And I also liked, there was one part where she mentioned the fact that, because I guess she got a book deal way before she even had any idea of what she was going to write about, and she was kind of complaining about it, and then she pretty much just like told herself, I don't know if it was exactly, I think like some of her friends at some point pretty much told her, not to complain, and then she kind of like responded with something along the lines of, she didn't feel that she deserved a book deal because of the fact that, there's so many other, much more talented writers out there who struggle for years and years to get a book deal and never do. And, here she is, just because she's in the public eye, she got a book deal with, without it really trying that much, without trying too hard to get a book deal. She said something along those lines. And, so yeah, I guess I like the fact that seems to be one of those people that's able to poke fun at herself, criticize herself, and just, kind of laugh at her own predicament, laugh at the often eccentricities that come along with being, a celebrity in the public eye. And I guess overall I would give this, I want to say 3.5 out of 5 stars. Yeah. Of course, on Goodreads, they can't do the half thing, so I gave it 3 stars, but really, I give it 3.5. And that's not because I feel it's, I don't consider it to be terrible, but I guess in a lot of ways I feel like this would have come across a lot better as just, if she did it as just one of her podcast episodes, or maybe like a series of podcast episodes. And so, yeah. And then, I don't know if she already has done it, like included excerpts from her audiobook in her podcast, or if she just like included like the entire audiobook in one of her podcast episodes, or I don't know. If she hasn't already, to me, I feel like she should. And if she has already, then I say, yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, again, I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So, that pretty much do it for my review of Unqualified by Anna Faris. And thanks for watching. As always, till next time, don't forget to keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.